You have to diagnose the right problem to fix the right problem. When you see all these kazi kwa vijana programs, whatever, we have to get serious as a country. Yeah, those are not unemployment solutions. Those are not solutions. What problem are you fixing?
Short term.
Yeah, there's no. You're not fixing demand deficiency. You're not fixing manufacturing and productivity in the economy so that you increase the number that industries and whatever need more people to employ. So what exactly are you fixing as kazi kwa vijana and all those other things?
Dr. Z, allow me to build up the conversation again to what you had mentioned in terms of unemployment. The coast region, with all its strategic position in terms of the demographic features, in all the asset in terms of the special economic zone, with so many paperwork that we have done, researches with Mombasa Vision 25, that we all must agree that the coast, Mombasa is the heart of the coast region. We have done a lot of policy paperwork, and for that matter, what is that which still keeps the coast region with the highest level of unemployment?
So this podcast is called Unfiltered Economist.
No sugarcoating.
So we're
keeping it unfiltered.
Economics.
Absolutely.
So there are 4 types of unemployment.
Yes.
So there's structural unemployment, there's frictional unemployment, there's cyclical unemployment. So structural refers to there's a change in the economy, and demand deficient unemployment. Demand deficient just means the economy is not producing enough jobs. So basically, there's no industry, there's nothing. The structural employment means your people don't have the skills, or the skills are changing here, so they become unemployed because they don't have the skill sets to accommodate to that technological change. Frictional employment is over 6 months. Look at labor participation rates, just the ability changing jobs, changing jobs, whatever. And then cyclical is based on economic up and down. You have to diagnose the right problem to fix the right problem. When you see all these kazi kwa vijana programs, whatever, we have to get serious as a country. Yeah, those are not unemployment. I'm also those are not solution. What problem are you fixing?
Short term.
Yeah, there's no. You're not fixing demand deficiency. You're not fixing manufacturing and productivity in the economy so that you increase the number that industries and whatever need more people to employ. So what exactly are you fixing as kazi kwa vijana and all those other things? It's okay doing some short-term, down-term cyclical unemployment.
Yes,
you can just use it to cycle some kind of cash transfer program, But the trouble is, we've begun using these things as some kind of, and every government comes back and makes the argument that this is some kind of employment generation. If you look at our overall labor participation figures, I think we have 3.5 million people in formal employment. About 22 million people
informal sector.
Is it 22? 21. I mean, mine is informal unemployment. So it means that even if you compare it with a country like South Africa, whose population is almost the same, South Africa is about 16 million people in formal employment. Formal. Wanaenda ofisi na suti na whatever tie. They have retirement benefits, they have health facility, they have insurance, they have whatever. It means majority of our population are a paycheck away from disaster, what I mean? Like in terms of, because it's informal employment. The fact that it's informal employment means we need to increase the amount of productivity in this economy. We have to find a way to do that. Best thing is to increase competition. More democracy is good, especially increase competitive policy, allow more investment, stop crowding out private sector by excessive government borrowing, regulatory policies that allow, you see the World Bank business, ease of doing business free index and report where we score compared to countries like Rwanda and things like that. We need to consolidate how we approve businesses. We need to enforcement of contract. We need to, those things, they matter. They improve Kenyan as an investment destination. Yeah. So That's the solution. We have to think about even what problem are we solving. Another kazi kwa vijana is not a solution. Yeah, you have to think deeply about what problem you're solving.
I must agree with that, Dr. That is an area that needs to be really dealt into. I must say, a region that does not invest in its youth in matters to do with the development of its youth is basically generating or manufacturing a youthful nation that is full of poverty and a quick line to unemployment, and even worse, to criminal and more of young people getting themselves into drugs. Daktari, I have one very interesting bit, and I remember we had discussed this on call, the issue of per capita income. And I know the Coast region has the highest level of per capita income. What do you have to say, or what solutioning can we inject as a coastal region and an economic bloc to kickstart this conversation?
I think a lot of reports have been put out about the way forward. Because of a large rural population in the coast, we're going to have to think about some form of agribusiness and improving those value chains. How that investment occurs, it might need some catalytic partner or some government or green catalyst to facilitate other partners in different value chains to come and make those investments. All the areas where we have a competitive advantage, cotton, I think Base 13 did a project with cotton in Wale that was really successful. Fruit and fruit concentrates, coconut, cashew nut, or if you put all those things together, they can employ over 100,000, 200,000 people. So for the rural areas, agribusiness and Kilifi, Kwale, Tana River, we have to think of some value chain type investment. We would need some help from the national government to facilitate. And I think it's a legitimate conversation for the coast to have a conversation with the national government around it on how this can be facilitated. Actually, this can be some kind of corrective investment, reparations. Yeah, you need some reparations. It can be some kind of reparations to the national government.
Daktari, just to echo the conversation,
if you allow me, just to finish. Then there are two other things. Tourism, which I think is a big selling point for the coast. I just wanted to make a small comment. Do you know we don't have a single branded hotel in the coast of Mombasa, which is really hard to believe. If you go to Nairobi, we have all these branded. The Four Ways by Hilton, Double T by Hilton, Four Ways by Sheraton, whatnot. And there's every brand in Nairobi. And what happens with a brand? JW Marriott is there. In fact, over there in the top, L'Oreal Towers and Hiltons and whatnot. What happens when you have a big brand? They market the destination amongst their customers. One of the things like Wyndham Group has over 500 million capita people in the world. So they market the destination. The coast is not in any of these programs. We don't have a Radisson. We don't have a Radisson Red, a Radisson Blue. We don't have a Hilton. We don't have a Doubletree. We don't have There needs to be some kind of investment in tourism infrastructure in the coast to make us competitive. If you look at our other competing products like Zanzibar, or look at what's happening in Zanzibar right now. There's everything. There's Hilton, there's Radisson, there's the Pakayat. So our beach tourism as a country is not contributing what it used to do. We're not competing. We're not as competitive. If you go to some of our brands here, they've been here from the 70s, Bana. You go and sit down on a chair, the same chair that was there in 1970. I think
so. There's need for rebranding.
There's investment in the infrastructure. You need these modern hotels with fancy rooms and whatnot that can be marketed outside there as what we have currently just won't work. Yeah.
That was a very interesting way of looking at it. Again, to the per capita income, what do you think?
No, I just remember the question.
Yeah. So I'm taking you back to that question. I know me and you, when we touch base on matters economy, we can dive deep, and we might get the audience lost for a minute. And we have said a couple of times, we will not have jargons around here. so that we have our audience also walking and running with us. The issue again on per capital that I was aiming for, I did a research on economic factors influencing growth of MSMEs in Kenya, and a specific study being Mombasa County. And I realized that one of the key challenges that we're having is access to finance. That it has been a key problem. I've seen the county government of Mombasa has come up with a very interesting fund. I remember during the former governor, the previous government, led by His Excellency Hassan Ali Joho, came up with a revolving fund. And I've seen our governor, His Excellency Abdul Samad Sharif Nassir, has come up with a very interesting concept, which is more of advancement of what was there previously, called Stawisha Fund. And it's at the county assembly for enactment. So we're waiting to see what comes out of it. But again, back to the research, the issue of access to finance has been a key challenge. And I've seen even the national government, as you've said, that the county has to work closely with the national government, has come up with a program called the Nyota Fund. What do you think still needs to happen? Is it a correct way to engage? Because remember also, we must say, Mama Boga is feeling the pinch, the hustlers, watu wa matatu, and many other people on the ground, on the lowest belly of this economy.
So if you just allow me to talk about loss belly and feelings a bit.
I know this is what you love most.
Our approach to funds is wrong. What Kenya needs to do is we need more SMEs turning into medium-sized enterprises that hire more people. So the categorization of a small versus medium size is part of it is the number of employees.
Yes.
So you see that unemployment problem you were talking about is that if you're more medium-sized businesses that are able to, so 100 employees, 50 employees, whatever, you end up with a lot more employment in that country.
Yeah.
The way we have designed fund, it is true, there's a market failure. And even capital allocation can have a market failure. So there is a market failure in Kenya, but the solution does not come from government. Now, in other countries that have done this more efficiently, like in South Africa would be the best example of how that is done. Yes, the government-sponsored funds, but they sponsor and partner with
the private sector.
In
China,
in terms of allocation of capital, because they're able to allocate it more efficiently. And, they're able to credit screen, they're able to whatever. Government can play a role in incubation and supporting incubation.
And sustaining it.
And increase, but government should not be administering funds. With all due respect, I think the bigger funds, the Hustler Fund was a mistake. The trouble with the Hustler Fund is that if you take 50 billion shillings and chop capital to that level, you chop it to 500 bob and 600 bob, you're not being effective. You run a cash transfer program instead. The challenge for businesses is you see the businesses looking for 250,000 to 1 million shillings for operating capital, for growth capital, whatever. The fund needs to be organized in a way that it's solving a problem in the industry. If you go to all these private sector or funds in banks like KCB, Equity, they have a couple of different types of funds trying to solve this development. It makes more sense to take this 50 billion shillings that you have, get KCB and Equity to expand subsidize the interest rate that they are able to charge in the market, but they are able to allocate this capital more efficiently than you.
They have the structure with it.
They have the structure, they have the credibilities, they have the manpower, they have everything. You can give them some caveats on distribution, allocation, make sure you have businesses in the coast, businesses in this target groups and whatever. But still, you can't sit down and have a government official now turning into a credit risk officer in a bank, which is not his expertise. You never trained him on that. And what happens is that you waste $500 million, which was how much you wasted on those previous funds. There's a better way to do it. Other countries do it more efficiently and have created funds with the private sector. Some of it is allocated to private equity. If you're looking for venture capital that you need these businesses to get, you can give it to venture capitalists who are able to screen businesses, look at the industry, look at the total addressable market, look at the growth prospects, that's an expertise on its own. Yeah. And they're able to do it efficiently. Give them the money. Then try and do it yourself, because it's not an area of expertise for government. Yeah. So coming back to that per capita income question, sorry, I know. the fund, you have to have the right solution for the right problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you want more people, more per capita income to go higher, whatever, you have to make sure there are more small businesses moving into medium and whatever. And the way to do that is to support that kind of transition through some kind of government support, business incubation, making life easier for them and whatever. So that they employ more people so that per capita income goes higher. Not that starting yet another fund. How many funds are we seeing at this kind?
I introduced it. That's so personal as agending. And as economists, we have
one interesting bit about economists. We have never, in economics, no one is always right. To a point, we are always right to our own levels of understanding. So I will allow Daktari to, pour his heart and have his own say, and is entitled to his opinion. This is a conversation that has been pegging for quite some time. And people have been saying the coastal region issue, is it an economic deficit? Is it leadership deficit? Is it the policy deficit? Is it the market deficit? Is it the branding of the coast region? What do you feel as an economist must be done to change the narrative?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if there's a right answer. I don't know if I have the answer. But what I'd say is that we definitely need more focused leadership. Yeah. Leadership that maybe thinks a bit more long-term in terms of the solution. The trouble with, the only one problem with devolution was also localization of problems. So
the focus changes.
Yeah, your focus becomes, the person mindset. This sewage has burst over here and we need to fix it. Well, which is true. It's an important thing. You need to fix it. But it also sometimes stops you from looking at the greater problem of the region that we need to create and reduce, So to that effect, a bit more focused and vision bearing by the leadership is required. Yeah. There might not be consensus on the way forward, but there's a lot of technical expertise from different institutions, the World Bank, AFDB, Trademark, that can support the kind of technical thinking required, but you need a vision bearer for this thing. Then, in terms of political deficit, the coast has to negotiate. You have to negotiate for your own interests. And I feel that every time the coast goes to the political table to negotiate, we're never clear on what our interests are. We're not clear on what we want. We're not clear on what, as a region, long term, what we're negotiating for beyond seats and whatever. You have to make economic sense. Don't just say, look, we want this and this. We want this invested.
Yes.
We want the special economic zone invested like this. Whatever it is that you're making. Yeah, so on the political side, I think also we haven't been so clear.
That's a very interesting view of it. Daktari, if today you were to lock you in, I want us to look at this approach in terms of a coastal roadmap. If we were to lock you in a boardroom somewhere and allow him to design a framework to change the narrative of the coast region economically, what would be your approach?
We have to put our money where our mouth is. So what we don't need is not another policy document. Now you need budget lines. The true test of a government's commitment is budget lines.
Indeed.
And everything else is a story. What you stand and say at the podium is unapanga. The only thing that makes sense is true is budget line. All these programs and whatever that are transformational and whatever have to appear on budget lines across the 6 countries. And they have to appear on budget lines significantly as a joint consolidated effort, as consensus that we're going this direction. So we're putting money behind this problem. If we're not doing that, we're just talking. Yeah. And we are going to lose another generation just talking. Yeah.
So what needs to be implemented in terms of timelines around the same proposal that you're sharing in terms of budget ceiling?
So there are a lot of actionable programs. If you look at
Because you had to also appreciate, Dr. Alisa, I mentioned,
Right.
a governor can only sustain the position for 10 years. So within that short 10 years, some things must be made, with the approach of making them happen with timelines, budget ceilings. Remember, as all governors, anytime they come to this position, they have their own manifestos that they run through. And then we must all agree, all manifestos are different. As we have said, devolution has localized.
The biggest mistake most people who enter government make mistakes, and I've seen this at the presidential level, I've seen it at a gubernatorial level, is the assumption that you have time. So what happens is that people spend the first year reorganizing, putting their staff, they spend the second year now drafting strategic plans and whatnot. Then by the third year, now you're trying to put it in budget and start putting procurement ways, whatever. Now, you guys, shortly, time is up, but you're in a new election cycle, whatever, and you spend so much time administratively. Decide on 2-3 things, but this is the most transformative thing I can do in Mombasa as a governor, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's, you can even decide it's roads or it's water or it's whatever. And you come in, and within that first year, where you decide that I'm entering the next election with these 3 things. Not a big story that I'm trying to do. You're trying to do 100 things. Yeah. Find 3 things that are completely transformative, deliver those, and history will be kind to you.
So, as Dr. Ali has said, the coastal region has a lot to do. And the future of the coast is not inherited, it's constructed. I have very interesting questions for Dr. Ali this evening. What is the coastal opportunity in terms of the economy that is being slept on, or that can be a change? Yeah, the missed opportunity at the coast region right now.
I think most of it is in manufacturing and productivity. Yeah, logistics. In countries like South Africa, cold chain logistics logistics is about 14% of overall national economy.
Yes.
If you look at a port like Durban, Durban exports 250,000 cars. Exports, not imports. Exports 250,000 cars. I think, and that was some years ago. I don't know what it is right now.
Yes.
And that's for one of 8 ports. If you look at most coastal cities around the world, majority of big economies have their capitals and whatever, their coastal cities.
Yes.
If you look at the major, say LA, New York, Shanghai, Beijing, whatever. I don't know why in Kenya it's in the center of the country. It doesn't make
sense completely. I've never understood.
You have to build out an export economy. Go look at what China is doing. Go look at what everybody's doing around their coast. Go and look at the
most economies within the coastal strip.
Yeah. Look at the social economic zones. Look at the number of trains put up, the cargo. Look at the ships, the vessels, their berths, and if you'll find Reebok has a factory next to the port. You finish making a shoe and it's thrown on the ship, to go to Europe. We don't have that kind of stuff.
So one policy leaders must stop immediately within the coast region. Must stop to reignite the conversation on matters economy.
I think and this is a personal.
You're keeping it unfiltered.
Yeah,
on.
I think human capital investment is the coastal leaders have to change the narrative around the coast with regards to education and attainment. If you meet the average kid from the coast who's 12 or 13, whatever, they have no interest in education. They have no interest in whatever. They want to become something else. They want to become a musician. They want to become a rapper, a DJ, or whatever. Or they want to go and work somewhere in the ports. Or the ladies want to, I don't know. You have to get these kids to finish school. You have to stop the early pregnancies. Girls are getting kids too early. Which completely destroys the economic productivity for the rest of their lives. So they don't get to live meaningful lives. You have to get girls back in school. You have to stop underage. There's a lot of underage marriages and kids getting married early, whatever. You just have to find a way. Once you preserve a generation, you just need to do it one generation, and 18, you preserve another generation, but then see what happens with per capita income and whatever. Yeah, first thing, guys get educated, guys be healthy, no early kids. Punguza watoto bana.
Absolutely. I think you're still basing your conversation around that figure. If you're to be the governor of one of the coastal counties, we have 6 counties. What is one reform you'll have initiate or you will start with?
My major thing I would do, we have to get part of port revenue into the coasts. We fought that battle with the national government and we lost. And where the question was whether, the Constitution, Schedule 4, allocates the harbour and the coast and whatever. And then the national government was saying, but we've made investments, in terms of the infrastructure that makes it a port. So you guys have the harbour, you guys have the port, whatever, some things that don't make sense, But the reality is that we're the only region in Kenya who have a national resource that we're not using. And it's been used for everybody else. Do you know what the port makes every year? About 58 billion shillings, I think, in 2024. Or 2024, 23 was 58 billion shillings. I think this year is more, about 60 something billion shillings. You have to give a cost part of that. Where it's 5%, 10%, you have to give us like some 5 billion shillings that you can to educate this kid.
And the infrastructure, we're also developing the rights and all that still feeds from our...
Spend it on the right thing. Spend it on educating the kids and keeping kids in school and getting kids to feel. Yeah, that's what you should do.
That is what you will be your focus a bit of.
Sorry.
Interesting. Why is the hope of young people declining at the coast region?
What is that?
Hope of the youth at the coast region declining.
You feel it's declining, yeah?
You said something interesting, like their hope or their vision is around being DJs, musicians. So there must be something driving them towards that kind of interest. Meaning they have lost hope maybe with a certain interest.
Go talk to a young guy in Nairobi. Go talk to a young guy in Kisumu. Or go talk to a young guy in Kakamega. They're trying to finish school so that they can become a lawyer, you can become a teacher, you can become something, whatever. Go talk to a young guy at one of these schools in the coast. See what they're trying to do at the end. Sorry, I know, but you cause the unfiltered.
That's unfiltered. Absolutely.
So think about that, about the ambition. Where did that come from? And I'm not saying this about, I was born in Mombasa here in the city.
What is this?
Yeah. And if you look at the leadership, look at the education level of the leadership along the coast and compare it with the education level of leadership also in the country. And let's just speak factually. It's good.
Do you think leadership is driven through education or experience?
At some point, you have to let technical capacity to implement something. I know this sounds really harsh, but I'm not a politician and I'll never run for political office. So
you're keeping it unfiltered, it's an economist.
So part of the aspirational nature of leadership is that kids have to want to become what their leaders are. So you're setting an example for the population in that region. With net enrollment rates of 35%, like 35% of the kids who should be in high school.
Yes.
Only 35% of the kids who should be in high school are in high school. There is a problem. That is a serious problem. Yeah. There's no conversation about insults or this guy's culture or that is a national problem. Like a majority of your population that should be in school is not in school. That's a crisis.
Yeah. So what is the biggest economic lie that has been sold for many years, time and again?
Biggest economic lie?
At the coast region.
I don't know, man. Lie?
Or a narrative that has been pushed with a certain false hope for the economy to change.
So actually, this is a very interesting thing. I think part of the reason we have a low net enrollment rate of both boys and girls was two of our main economic staples. Number one, for boys, it was the port and logistics. So when the logistics was in the coast, it was an alternative to going to school.
Yes.
So a lot of kids would go and be porters or work in a CFS or do something, and because you can make an income and take something home in the evening. And you find that indirectly the port supported a lot of people. You'll find 100,000 people. I don't know if that's true today, because a lot of the services have been here.
I was a PR. I remember the research we did and its effect and impact that has really costed the coast region, we must say it. But also it comes with its pros and cons, the local tourism.
And then for girls, there was a problem with tourism. And we have to speak frankly, man. The coast was a sex tourism destination. It was. That's the truth. And that's what was keeping girls out of school. The hope that they're going to meet some Muzungu guy and, he's going to fly them to France or Germany and stuff like that. So they don't finish school and they're all in hotels at bars over here trying to do that. I know it sounds like something very radical to say, but the example of what a lady was successful wasn't somebody who had gone to school, it was somebody who was married to, something. And this is a real conversation over here in the coast. Yeah. And yeah, we're unfiltered. We're being honest.
We're being honest and raw. You want to finish up?
Yeah. So those two factors led to that very low net enrollment rate. We have to show our kids and future our kids that there's a different path to a meaningful life.
For future.
Yeah, there's a different path. And it comes through finishing school and, trying to do something, working as a teacher, working as a ward in a factory, and even for unskilled labor, you can still go to technical colleges. There's so many other things to do.
And now that there is a very interesting approach the county government is doing, of course, with the collaboration with the national government. The county government of Mombasa has come up with an interesting pilot study, I might say, or approach in changing the lives of most people who have not gotten an opportunity to get their degrees, diploma, with a program called RPL, Recognition of Prior Learning.
Yeah,
which we're doing recently. That is a fantastic program. I must say, most of young people who have not gone or gotten the opportunity to go to universities, do their diplomas, please reach out to the county government of Mombasa. Get yourself acquainted with what they are doing with the issues to do with RPL, Recognition of Prior Learning, where you're given a certain test through the NITA government agency, and you're certified for it. And this can help you, assist you, find jobs with certification to it. I can't wrap this conversation without asking Dr. who happens to be a very long-time good friend of mine on matters to do with the Enigma Baba, the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. You have served in his close circle. You have served with him, I remember, in his office when he was the Prime Minister. You have also worked with him when he was the infrastructure AU position in infrastructure. What was your experience working with Baba?
Oh man, I was so much to say. Oh, first of all, just a small correction. I didn't work with him in the Prime Minister's office. No, I worked with him a lot in the opposition and doing opposition politics, and at the AU High Infrastructure's office. So I offered the technical support to him on infrastructure on the continent. To me, he is a mentor.
To many of us.
He is a friend. A lot of what I am today is because of Raila Odinga. There's a bit of personal stories that maybe people don't know. He recommended me for some roles and some things, so I'm very grateful for that. He had a lot of professional advice. He had a lot of technical advice, and I'm very grateful for the role he played in my life. I think a lot of times Raila Odinga was misunderstood by a lot of people. If you got to understand how he thinks and what he thinks about a lot of things, you wouldn't have the opinion on it. He was very deeply reflective. He was very considered. He'd take things through the intellectual length and breadth of them. So he had a very intellectual process in terms of coming to conclusions. And what a lot of people see as casual decisions were never casual decisions. There's no single casual decision.
Data driven.
Yeah. Everything is based on some considered position, whatever. He was a good guy. He was a funny guy. He had jokes and whatever, So I have nothing but positive things to say about Raila Odinga. I'm glad I'm one of those few guys who got an opportunity to work with him. Not everybody can say that, and for that part of my life, I'm grateful. I think Kenya is the worst for the loss of this great man. In terms of a national political perspective, he provided a stabilizing influence that I think is underappreciated in Kenya.
And champion of devolution.
If you look at the role he plays in every electoral cycle, many people have complicated that role, but there's a stabilizing role Raila Odinga plays that is going to be missed, and you're going to see it in the coming elections as the future goes on. I think he has led an extremely consequential life. He has led the largest transfer of government wealth during peacetime than any country has ever seen. You see what we did with intergovernmental transfers and whatever, and devolution, whatever. That doesn't happen through peacetime. That happens as a product of civil conflict. Yugoslavia, whatnot, those things. South Africa, apartheid is ending. That's how you end up with the provinces and the previous Bantustans and whatnot. Nigeria, a devolution and resource allocation led to a huge war, Biafran War, 1 million pivot. This is a peacetime allocation transfer of 15-30% of government allocation, and it was because of Raila Odinga and his efforts towards that. So I think in terms of legacy, that's probably going to be his biggest legacy in the new constitution. I don't think there's another individual who put as much human capital towards the accomplishment of a new constitution.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Daktari. I had to mention that. Thank you, Daktari, for creating time and keeping it unfiltered around here. You have discussed many issues around the economy and the coastal at large. We are very glad that you've created time, and we appreciate your insights and, of course, diagnosing the economic issues that are reigning the the coastal counties and the Jumuiya counties upon or the economic bloc. Until next time, this is Mwakio, the Unfiltered Economist. I hope you'll touch or follow us on some of our social media handle. Mwakio, the Unfiltered Economist on YouTube. Mwakio, the Unfiltered Economist on TikTok. But even more importantly, on Instagram, Mwakio001. You can also follow our guest here on his social media handle.
Right.
Nyangasi. So thank you. I must say the coastal region does not lack resources, as we have heard. I must say the coastal region does not lack resources, as we have heard from one of our best economists, not only within the coast region, Kenya, but largely within the continent. But it lacks some of the reforms and policy systems that might change, or not might, but can give us a consequential change that can be data-driven solutions to a long-term problems the coast region is facing. Remember, the coast region has many assets that can build up to many job employment, can build up to the per capita income revenue. Per capita income per individual and households, from matatus, drivers, to manambas, mamamboga mtaani. And not only that, but also can change the narrative about the coastal region with issues to do with education. So all this is a conversation we're diagnosing with Dr. Nyangasi. Thank you once again for creating time. It's always glad to touch base. I know we were together in this conversation for long within the county government of Mombasa.